everyone, welcome back to Flying Solo with Kat, and today we will be talking about the Bad Batch Season 3 trailer. If you've not already seen it, I did link it down below. Definitely go watch it because spoilers will be talked about. And this video is basically just going to be my thoughts on it, kind of each character, what is going to come of them, and how the season is kind of going to round it out. It is the final season of Bad Batch. I am devastated that it's the final season. I have enjoyed the Bad Batch basically since it came out. Now, granted, I won't lie to you guys. I was a casual Bad Batch fan. I wasn't too into it. I'm kind of moved on from the clones. I don't connect as well with the prequels as I do like the sequels. Um, but I love Bad Batch and I love the story that they're trying to tell. And of course, the found family aspect of it is something that means a lot to me as a writer. And seeing that in the Star Wars universe as a family unit is really, really refreshing to see. That's not in a Jedi perspective, but in a clone perspective. So that was really cool to see. But I'm very sad that it will be the final season. So that being said, I don't want to say this video is going to be depressing, but I'm gonna try to keep an open mind, and I'd love if they all would survive. But I am gonna be a bit realistic in this video and really what loose ends can they tie up, because Dave Filoni has a lot to do with tying up the Bad Batch, considering this is the last season. I wish it would have been kind of more like Rebels, to where we could get more seasons, but of course Rebels was not on a streaming service. Bad Batch is. So I'm quite interested to see what loose ends are going to be tied up, and I will talk about that, of course, right now. So sit back, relax, and let's go ahead and get into it. Of course, first I'm going to talk about Hunter. Oof. I love Hunter. He's the dad of the group, even with, Tech and Wrecker and everyone. He kind of just is the leader, and that's who he is. But he's dad and he's sad. I think him losing Tech and Omega and Echo's kind of off with Rex. I think he's gonna be really struggling this season, and I want to see that. I was hoping to see that more in season 2 with Echo leaving, but he kind of mainly kept it together. We more saw that with Omega struggling and Tech and Wrecker struggling than with Hunter. So I really hope we get more of that Hunter feels, especially with Crosshair, hopefully them seeing each other, but we shall see. So I'm quite interested to see where they take his story. Quite honestly, I do think he might die. I hope not. I am praying that if anyone in the Bad Batch dies, it is not him, because Hunter's just like amazing. I mean, he's my favorite one of the 99. But of course, that being said, he's a lot of people's favorites, and he literally is the leader. So I think him dying in this final season would actually be a great way for Omega to kind of take over his role. And there's so many scenes in season 1 and season 2 of her kind of copying him in that leading position, because she looks up to him as a leader. So I'm kind of scared. I'm very scared that we are going to lead into some not nice Hunter moments, and I'm terrified, but excited too. I'm excited to see where they take him. For Wrecker, I love Wrecker. Love, love, love him. But he is not the most well-developed character in the Bad Batch. He really hasn't had his time to shine. Tech had his time to shine in season 2. Now, granted, no one knew he was gonna die at the end, so everyone was like, oh, this is so nice. We actually get to learn about Tech. But then he just ended up dying, which was really frustrated. But we really haven't seen that with Wrecker. Of course, we saw the inhibitor chip activate for him, and that was kind of special. But we didn't get really to, hear his thoughts on the matter. We don't normally get a lot of deeper thoughts from Wrecker, and he's more used for the comic relief, which is good and bad. I think with this final season, it is going to be very depressing, as I said. So we're going to kind of need that comic relief in a sense, and going to need that playful side because Omega's gone. Literally, Omega and Wrecker were our comic relief, and now that Omega is not there, we're basically stuck with Hunter, Wrecker, Echo, Rex. But literally, Hunter, Wrecker, Echo. That's like the that's it. Like that's crazy. So I do think Wrecker unfortunately is going to be comic relief. I don't know. I don't see him dying though. That's what I don't. I see him being tortured, but I don't see him really dying in this season, unless they all Clone Force 99 pass away. But I don't think I don't see him dying, quite honestly. I don't think it would give us the feel moments. And I think with Tech, I think why it worked was because we saw those episodes of him speaking with Omega. So if we see a Wrecker episode of him like talking about his feelings, be terrified, be afraid that he might go. And that's Dave's fault, and he is like, okay, well, no, he got some development. Let's now kill him off. So I hope we get to see more of him, but also I do think he's going to be played for comic relief. So I can't be mad at that because like I said, it's going to be a very sad season, but I do wish we kind of got more of him. Next, we of course have Fee, which I am hit or miss on. I think she was good in season 2. I think I liked her relationship with Tech personally, and it was kind of cute and damn, she looked good. So I think basically she's kind of gonna be trying to find her husband, um, trying to find Tech in the sense, and I think she actually might help Wrecker with the comic relief and bring some fun into it, and her kind of snapping Hunter out of it and saying, hey, like, let's go get them. Why are we just sitting around? So I do think she will kind of rally the troops in a way, which I don't know. I'm excited to see more of her. I didn't get as much as her as I wanted to in season 2. I wish she was introduced a tiny bit beforehand. But I'm excited to see what she does and where she goes in this final season. Crosshair. Depressed. We literally see him like once or twice in the trailer, and he just looks like he wants to die. It's really sad. And of course, I mean, after the fact of everything that went down in his episode in season 2, which if you've not seen that, that is still probably one of the best episodes in kind of all of Star Wars that I've seen. It was really, really good. So I think he's kind of going to be at his limit and not want to do anything. And Omega's kind of going to snap him out of it and bring him back. So yeah, with Crosshair, oh, man, I don't know. He's been through a lot. So I'm interested to see where they take him if he sacrifices himself. If he sacrifices himself for the 99, or he's actually the only one that survives. For Omega, which kind of very much connects with Crosshair because they're in the same predicament, Omega wants to know answers. She kind of I guess she had really no option in season 2 to where, of course they used 99 as, bait for her. But I do think that she's going to want to know answers, want to know where she comes from, where, of course, that one scientist that was her sister, where she comes from, her connection with the clones, kind of more of the Empire and what they're moving into, and everything in between. But I know she will also want to get back to Hunter, get back to her brothers, but with Crosshair. I think that's going to be the main catch. And I actually do think that maybe she has the opportunity to go back with the 99 or leave, but she stays because of Crosshair and because she doesn't want to leave him behind, because that's just Omega. That's who Omega is. That she is kind and caring and never leaves anyone behind, because the 99 were so nice to her and didn't leave her behind. So I do find it fun, I think, if they go that direction. Dr. Hemlock needs to die. If he does not, I hope he like goes out kind of like Tarkin, but like literally just like his space station and like no one else is on it. Literally just him and just like catapult it into the sun. That would be amazing. So I hate him so much. His stupid face, I just want to punch it so bad. I hate it. So that's all I'll say about him. I really just hope he dies. I do think, I guess I'll transition to Palpatine here. I do think he will have something to do with Palpatine and all of that. It makes my heart fill up with joy of the amount of ties we are getting to Snoke and to Project Necromancer and to just Palpatine in general, kind of having that contingency plan of coming back. I love it. I'm so excited to see more of the cloning process with Lama Su and everything that they know about Camino and those cloning facilities because they were destroyed, but I do think we might see something. I would love at the end of Bad Batch, literally like a maybe a post. Why am I thinking post credit scene? I'm thinking Marvel, but like right at the end of the Bad Batch, we actually see Exegol and we see like a deformed Snoke in a tube. Like I know it's such a weird thing to think we would see this in the Bad Batch, but that's the one thing I love about Star Wars is that we will get to see different people and different things cross over from different shows. And for me, that's something really cool. And anything that ties in the sequel trilogy is amazing. And a lot of people miss. They're all like, no, it doesn't tie in the sequel trilogy. This is 40 or 50 years before that. I'd say no, because Palpatine was in his power. What do you think Palpatine was like planning for at the peak of the Empire? He had ISB agents and everyone else under him running around trying to do stuff for the actual Empire. Well, he was probably trying to preserve his life. And think of that contingency plan. So I'm very excited to see where they go with it, and I'm hoping that we get to see, I think the dream would be to see Exegol in animation in general. I think that would be so cool. But even just seeing the cloning or the start of the cloning, I don't even need to see like Snoke's full body, but even if you just show me like a yellow like tube would be so freaking cool. And we even saw that tie into The Mandalorian, of course, with season 3, the last season, and the last episode with, of course, the High Council. And we also got to see Moff Gideon's cloning, facilities where he wanted to use, metachlorians to make himself force clones. I think you tell cloning to people outside of Star Wars and they say that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why would you bring cloning into your universe? It just makes no sense. And I think it's so cool. I think having all these villains and bad people kind of, come back over and over again, I think that's cool. I know a lot of people get annoyed over it. Like, oh my God, can this person just die? But I think it always keeps things interesting. So I'm excited to see where they take it. Rex and Echo are back. But of course we know Rex will survive. And this is also another one of the gripes of having a show set in the OT era or, after prequels, like right between that sweet spot of Revenge and New Hope. We know Rex is going to survive because we see him in Rebels, which Rebels takes place during, I think it's right after A New Hope. So like prime, or it might even be before A New Hope or like a tiny bit before. But we know he survived. So that is one thing that I will also get into the next people we talk about is that we know he's going to survive. So I'm not really like holding my breath for him. I am excited to see what he did with Echo, who they brought back, or who they saved, where they took them, where, the rest of the clones that kind of went away from the Empire, where did they go? Are they being protected? Are they not? Are they on their own? What happened? So I think that will be an interesting story to take a look at with Rex and Echo. And, maybe Rex will help them and maybe he won't. Maybe he says, hey, it's not my fight, which I think might be a really interesting way of looking at Rex and seeing him if he's got other problems to deal with, for the Empire. And he might think this one's just too risky and everything. So, I don't know. That's interesting. But going on that point of knowing people will survive, we of course saw Cad Bane and Fennec Shan in the scenes. I love them so much, but there's no stakes because I know they survive. Now, what when you get as a I don't know why I'm bringing up writing so much because I've been doing it lately, but when you write a story that okay, the characters are gonna survive, right? You can't really unless you're just weird and you just kill them off and rewrite canon, but those certain characters survive because of other installments that have gone back in. You can leave them in a place though that still leaves story open to be developed. Example, you could write Cad Bane as maybe getting hired by the Empire, kind of like a Boba Fett type story, or even maybe he's running away from the Empire and the Empire is trying to chase him. We don't know him in those 30 years of the Empire's reign, like right before Book of Boba Fett, what he's doing. Is he working for the Empire? Is he not? But depending on how he is in the Bad Batch season 3, will kind of, is his story interesting to look into or is it not? Is it just like, okay, they just brought him in because he's trying to capture the 99 and it's kind of a fun sequence? Or legitimately, does he have something to develop on? With Fennec Shang, she's even more of a valuable asset because she shows up in The Mandalorian as well. Why is she hunting for the Mandalorian? Does she hunt for other Mandalorians? Is she hired by the Empire? We know that she was hired by, I don't think it was Lama Su, but it was one of the Kaminoans to find Omega and hopefully save her, even though, 99 didn't realize that. But is she still working for the Kaminoans and trying to find Omega and might actually help out the Bad Batch? Or is she just going to kind of go off and do her own thing and trying to make a quick bounty? So, as a storyteller, you run into these issues of, for one, continuity, and two, just kind of having a way of, oh, well, there's no stakes because I know they survive, or leaving them in a place that has you question, more about the character and have you actually care about the character. Like, oh, shoot, you left them kind of on a cliffhanger. I want to know how they got from there, from point A to point B. So I'm interested to see what they do. I feel like I've said that after every single character, but we really don't know. We don't know what the final season is going to bring. I was actually delightfully surprised by season 2 and where it went and where it took characters. I was not expecting Echo to leave. I don't know if it was just me and my delusions of grandeur, or he just was like, nope, I'm gonna go. I feel like I'm not doing enough. Like, what? You just broke up the 99, not counting Crosshair. Like, what are you doing? So that was really interesting and shocked me and did kind of pave a wavy path for season 2. So season 3, I think, is going to have these twists and turns that are going to shape Clone Force 99, and I think clones in general. Will this be the last story we get of clones? I don't know. I don't know if it is. But they could go out with a banger. And I'm excited to see what they do. The last thing I want to talk about, of course, if you saw the thumbnail, is Asajj Ventress. My love, my wife, my darling. She's back. I was shocked when I saw that. I was like, oh my god. That was literally my words. She's back. So for me, that was cool. I have not read Dark Disciples. I found out that that was a book that was released in 2016, and it actually takes the same for time. It takes place during the Bad Batch, so 19 BBY, which is the same type of thing as the Bad Batch. Now, I don't know exactly where it is in that timeline and where she crosses, where she doesn't, but I find that very interesting. I do not have this book. I swore I had it, but I think I confused it with Ahsoka. I have Ahsoka, and that one got retconned because a whole bunch of people were panicking that, oh my gosh, they're going to retcon Dark Disciples. What are we going to do? And I was like, oh, come on, Dave. Don't retcon another book because he retconned Ahsoka. And that was, thankfully, I did not read that book. But I wasn't a huge fan of how even the last episode in Tales of the Jedi kind of depicted that story when I heard about the book version. And I was like, oh, really? So, of course, everyone, a whole bunch of media sites were like, oh my gosh, Dave Filoni's retconning and whatever, which I don't know. It's the media is so bad right now. I tell you guys, please do not trust anything that is not from the official source. I'm not even going to get into it, but please, just anything you do, just look at the official Star Wars account or from the writers and the creators that work at Lucasfilm, not from a guy who knows a guy who knew a guy. Please. Thank you. So they released this statement, and this is from Dave Filoni himself, saying, "We love Asajj Ventress. She's a character that we've been wanting to tell more stories about." And that's actually from Brad Ryu, not Dave Filoni, I apologize, but he does, he's the supervising director and executive producers of, the Bad Batch. So take his word for it. And he says that we don't want to spoil anything, but we want fans to know that new storytelling with Ventress will align with the events of Star Wars Dark Disciple. So everyone was like, oh, everyone let out a sigh of relief. Thank God. Of course, there were still media websites trying to get out a story or two before everyone knew the news. But her coming back, I'm very excited to see what is going to happen. Now, let me read you the back for Dark Disciples. I need to order this book because I've heard that there's some, Quinn Voss, Asajj, Ventress, love relationship. And I don't know. I might have to see what's happening with that because the cover is outstanding. And also Asajj Ventress looks amazing in the series, but also the book cover too is amazing. So this is what's on the back of Dark Disciples. In the war for control of the galaxy between the armies of the dark side and the Republic, former Jedi Master turned ruthless Sith Lord Count Dooku has grown ever more brutal in his tactics. When he orders the massacre of helpless refugees, the Jedi Council can see no alternative but to take drastic action, targeting the Empire's most cold-blooded discipline for assassination. But Dooku is dangerous prey, so the Council decides to bring both sides of the Force to bear, teaming brash Jedi Knight Quinlan Voss with infamous ex-Sith acolyte Asajj Ventress. Though Jedi distrust for the cunning killer who once served Dooku still runs deep, Ventress' hatred for the former master runs deeper. Determined to have vengeance and let go of her Sith past, Ventress must balance her growing feelings for Voss with the fury of her warrior spirit, and resolves to claim victory on all fronts. It is a vow that will be mercilessly tested by her deadly enemy and her own doubt. That sounds like the coolest story ever. So like I said, I need to order that book and read it. I don't know if I'm going to read it before. I definitely won't get to it before February 22nd, but I'll have to read it soon. But if you have read the book, please let me know down in the comments if you liked it, if you didn't like it. I've seen a couple people comment on it, but I haven't really heard people's reviews on it. So let me know what you think of it. But other than that, that's kind of just my overall thoughts on the Bad Batch. Truly, the first episode will tell where we're taking this season, and I will be here every step of the way. I will probably end up doing, depending on how many episodes we get per week, if it's just one episode a week, then I will do one episode a week for a podcast, and I might do a little buffer in between there. But if it's like 3 episodes per week, then whichever, how many episodes release per week, I will review on this channel and talk about it. Unless, people don't really care, and I might sprinkle in a few other things to kind of break it up, because that is a lot of Bad Batch episodes to talk about every week. And I'm even not, like I said, I'm a casual fan for Bad Batch. So we will see where it goes. But if you are interested, please let me know so I can at least mark it on my calendar. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you're as excited for the Bad Batch as I am. Godspeed to all of them, that they make it through, and that I'm just happy, we got a release date, so we shall see in basically a month of what happens to Clone Force 99. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you